Only at the convention. It's
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
Great laugh is always a great way.
Yeah, it's a
start
good way
the
to
day,
start the day. It really.
especially after the elections.
Oh my
Lord.
God, those were
It's a good
horrific.
wake up.
That's not going to change. I think
I
Florida is going to
know.
be
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
discussions on that last night. I think it's going to be a big red wave flying
It's
across
not
the
gonna be
state.
pretty.
It's not going to be pretty. I have a feeling it's going to be a total red wave. Yeah. I think
That's all right.
it's going to be tough for Florida.
We got to get out of the. Oh, we'll get out of the negative zone into the positive here.
Yeah. Tough.
Got your phone going, Ruta?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, hey, listen, so I'm going to take advantage of the green screen today because, listen, I put a mask on so I'll get back in front of the Compassionate Cannabis Clinic logo. I just want everybody to know that I feel perfectly comfortable as a doctor communicating with my patients with half of my face covered. And listen, if that's a
little jab at our
well,
what is he?
Well, he's
Medical
the Surgeon General.
like
no, listen, I'm an Ohio Stater. Everybody knows that. And my sister-in-law and my nieces, they're Gators. Tons of Gator fans out there. University of Florida, top 5 public university. But you know what? They've had a bad week.
Yeah,
they've had a bad week. And listen, the Surgeon General, I think, lost a lot of doctors who really didn't know much about him. When he refused to put the mask on to, see Senator Polsky, and that was a bad take. So bad. Listen, everybody, COVID's not over. COVID's not over yet. I know you said he kind of had a crazy story.
Oh no, but mine's not COVID related. But I have a crazy story.
But listen, COVID's not over. We talked earlier this week about whether we were going to take masks off in the office or not.
To stay with them until after the holidays.
Just makes sense, right?
Yeah, and then going forward, we'll see what we do.
And we're hoping to get telehealth back as the session comes, and that's an entire another show.
Yeah, and the session, oh gosh, even yesterday.
But this show's going to be great. And listen, this is our events show. And listen, we'll start with events past and events future. Events past, everybody. We had a great event last Wednesday.
It's awesome. We were at the Atlanta Braves Stadium in Northport, and our name came up on a huge teleprompter thing. And
it was cool. So it was the Venice Chamber of Commerce Business Showcase.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done. Great turnout.
And the thing that we love about doing those type of events is that we run into all kinds of citizens of Florida, right, and everywhere coming down, from the north,
from everywhere, and not necessarily people that would normally even come to our practice.
Well, that's the point.
And it was great because we ended up getting. In fact, yesterday we had somebody came in with they had given a gift card as a raffle, and they came in with the raffle, and
yeah, that was cool.
It was cool, and I'm like, all these people that really would never normally, they were kind of shy. Some of them were apprehensive coming to the table, and then next thing you know, they're like, "Can I make an appointment?" We're like, "Sure, come on in."
And listen, we don't do it to really get singular individual patients because listen, fortunately we're busy, very vibrant practice, but we do it to advance the normalization of the conversation of cannabis out there, and just to have us on the big board, my parents maybe looking down on me because that was a fantastic
it was awesome. Like, it was funny because Shaq and I went to set up and we turned around and we're like, oh my god, our name's on the screen. We're like, this was so cool. It was like a ha moment.
It was cool. So that was last Wednesday. That's why we didn't do a green room on Thursday because I think it was just such a crazy day.
Yeah,
on Wednesday.
we were
like, no, we couldn't muster up, but we're back. Listen, then Reggae Rise Up was one of the other recent events. And listen, I'm talking about cannabis events. And that is the purpose of the show. We're going to have Brian Bueno on in a moment, who's the founder and promoter of Cannabis. It's going to be down in Port Charlotte in a couple of weeks. So we'll have him on. But listen, just talking events in general. So Patty and I were lucky to go out to the Emerald Cup out in California a couple of years ago, which is kind of the, one of the longest standing cannabis events. It was great. And, I said to her at the time, because there's Puff Puff Pass in Florida, and excuse me, California, and illegal adult use out there. And I really said to her, it'd be interesting to see if we ever can get that environment here in Florida. Interestingly enough, the Reggae Rise Up was a wonderful environment. It was, listen, you still can't openly use and smoke a joint in front of the police officers or any of that. Everybody knows that. But I think there was an acceptance of cannabis, once again, as just a step-by-step integration into society.
And I think that's what ultimately has to happen. I think it's a gradual acceptance. More and more people are okay with it. More people are like, okay, it's becoming the norm. And
it is. It is. Right. And I think, the officers in general, and the security and the like. I just think they're thrilled not to have alcohol as the overriding, driver of the event, which tends to be a much more.
I'm going to pause.
We're pausing for a moment from our producer.
Can you share the link I just sent to your phone to Facebook? We're having some problems with Facebook.
Sure, done.
Casting.
Okay.
So, but that's the YouTube link so they can watch it live.
Okay, so those on my phone, we're having problems with some Facebook. I guess streaming.
It's two-factor.
That's fine.
It's
right. Don, what did you need me to do? Okay. Or did we do it? Did I do it?
Let's see. As long as you shared that to the.
Not sure what I did actually.
Okay, so just take that.
So there it is.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Okay, so while we're doing this, to some of the people that are on my Facebook page, I have a great Florida story. So Sunday night on Halloween, I'm on the sofa with my husband watching a movie, a scary movie. At the corner of my eye, I see something drop and I hear a thunk and I'm like, what was that? And I'm like, And then my husband's like, oh my God, Ruta, we're watching Insidious. And he's like, it's a scary movie sound effect. That's all you heard. I'm like, no, really. So I go to the sink with my cup to wash it out. There's a snake. Wow. The snake fell out of my vent into the sink.
Wow.
It was disgusting.
Came from above.
Right. It flew. And I was like, there's a snake.
Well, because you hear the stories about things coming up from
the toilets and stuff, and that happens a lot. Like opossums and stuff come up, but I have never seen a snake fly out of a vent. I'm like, I have to burn my house to the ground now and start over because I'm like, I'm not living in a house with snakes. It's horrible.
Facebook.
Okay.
So just a word of caution to people: sometimes check your vents because things live in them.
I got full control over it. Wow. So did they have to do anything? Go up into the vents and make sure there's not a nest or any of that?
We called somebody in on Monday. They went up and looked if there was a nest because I'm like, if there's one, there's more. And the guy couldn't find any. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm still not trusting it.
Wow.
So we're calling a company in to blow out the vents altogether just to make sure there's nothing in there. So I'm like, it was scary to have a snake. And imagine I was like, oh my God, I saw it out of the corner of my eye and it dropped into the sink. Thank God. Because I was like, oh my God, imagine if it either hit us like as we were walking to have a snake fall on you. It would be like traumatizing. And then, or like even at
PTSD.
Night, yeah, they talk about seriously, that's like horrific. Imagine a snake falling on your head in your house. I mean, it was horrible. So it was a terrible story. And it was really like, it was creepy. I've never had that happen.
And never to hit the betray, but our Venice friend, Dusty Crumb, is the snake python hunter guy. Yes. Yeah, the python hunter. I know. Because he posts great things on, and listen, for Christmas gifts, I'll give him a shout out. I think the shop is still here in Venice. He sells the snake skin purses and boots. And, oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I want to know because like I used to take stuff to get like from hides and stuff. There's a place in Sebring, and this guy in Sebring, he actually has a skin of a python. It's huge. It's like 25 feet. It's like ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Dusty, cool. I mean, the things they pull out of the Everglades, it's pretty scary.
It's scary actually now, and all the invasive species and stuff.
Right.
So now it's craziness. But yeah, that snake was just, it freaked me out. I'm not a snake person by any means.
No, I've never liked him. And you know, it's funny too, because even as an ER doctor, which I was, and we were supposed to know which snake bites were dangerous and which weren't, the pit vipers, and they would have like little things. But you know, there's always those mnemonics about red with yellow.
Yeah, kills a fellow. I know. If I see a snake, I don't care what it is. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, who knows the rhyme to the time you see a snake?
I'm running. I know.
I'm like looking it the other way. I'm like, I don't care what color it is.
Never quite time for me. But there were no snakes at the Reggae Rise.
No, so
lots of dust.
It was a lot of dust, but a lot of good turnout.
It was great turnout. No, listen, it was sold out, essentially sold out event.
And that was in St. Pete, right? right?
It was in
Yes,
St.
it
Pete. And, and listen, just to go to, are we back on, Don?
I shared the link to the
Okay.
Facebook page and to the Compassionate Cannabis page, but they're gonna have to go to YouTube, unfortunately, at this moment.
Okay.
Wow.
So all right.
Live, so
So,
we've got it live, and then I'll upload the video later.
okay, perfect.
should
So
be
then that
good.
way they can watch it.
Fantastic. And
Excellent.
Brian will be able to join us in a
Brian
few
will be able
moments.
to join us.
Yeah.
Great, because I want to just talk about one other event that was a more serious event that I was at on Monday night. And this is exactly what the event was. Ruta, I finally figured it out. What it was the National Council of State Legislators Convention down here in Florida, in Tampa. And the Monday night event was sponsored by the Citizens for Safe Access, right?
But
Which
they
is,
didn't have a lot of Florida attendees.
they
like
didn't.
legislators,
I didn't
which
see
is
one
good.
Florida legislator there because they're tied
They're
up in
session.
Tallahassee.
Yeah, they're in session.
Doing
Yeah,
well.
they're
They're in pre-session.
Pre-session and special sessions
Right.
now.
But the good news there was that Kelly King, good friend, gave a cannabis talk that evening. It was focused. So it was a cannabis focused evening of offered for legislators and their staffs and this and that. So little did I know, I'm standing there at a table with a state legislator from Maryland.
Yeah.
I start talking to him, and then all of a sudden, I'm talking to very prominent people around the country who are, and we had no idea. So it's funny how these things come about. And I thank Kelly for inviting me. But that was the event of this week already. Now, we have so much going on to that extent. Mount Dora has the event this weekend, and then why don't you pop up Brian on the screen, Don, when he's ready? It should be about
so it's
time.
happening in Mount Dora this week.
Mount Dora is another cannabis event, and I'm on a panel on Sunday talking about what's going on cannabis legislatively. It's a 2-day event. It's at the Renninger's farm, really easy to find. And there's actually another one coming up there in a couple weeks, but it may conflict even, I think, with what's going on. Brian knows all the dates and everything that's going on. But the good news, as I was saying, is that cannabis events are typically very family friendly, right? Yeah. And really, we like to see when they offer education and, once again, advancement. I know, and I'm sure there'll be at Brian's event too, the Regulate Florida, of course, will have their, booth with petitions of course, to be signed for home grow.
So if you're out in the area, please, if you ever come across those petitions, please sign them, please.
And we believe in that because for patients, and listen, as you know, we do a lot of shows legislatively and we're very involved with it. I don't believe that home grow will come up as a conversation in the Florida legislature for a number of years, if ever. So we really believe that our patients, and they do want to try to grow their own cannabis. And I say try because, listen, it's not easy. Got to have a pretty green thumb. But the point is they want to attempt to grow their own cannabis for a lot of reasons. Quality of cannabis, cost, absolutely, the availability of the cultivars that they want and the way that they want it. It's, like I said, an entire another show. But there's a lot of booths up there and a lot of vendors and food trucks.
It'll be interesting to see if anybody's selling any of the Delta products out there, the 8s, 9s, and 10s, or whatever is out there right now.
So I can give you an answer to that. I believe that they will be, because most of the CBD purveyors, absolutely are integrating that, kind of into their product lines. And listen, what we know right now is that there are quality purveyors, absolutely sourced, tested, making appropriate healthcare, discussions. Nobody should promise anything when it comes to a cannabis product, but the discussion about what all the cannabinoids are, where I take offense is the hanging of a big THC sign and then a purveyor not explaining to the consumer.
I actually just saw one in Sarasota.
Absolutely.
There's a CBD store, huge sign. We have THC products. I'm like, why are they doing that? I'm like, oh my God, it's awful. A huge sign. Like, I mean, huge.
Once again, because of the loophole in the farm bill that, and my point is this, listen, everybody is entitled to make a living, and I got it. And
as long as it's safe for consumers,
integrity and appropriate sourcing and appropriate discussions.
And even then, education, because some people may be going in there and maybe they'll have some kind of a side effect or an adverse reaction. No one's going to be educating them there. They're going in, they're taking it, they think it's THC, that's it, and they leave, and it's not good. I'm not a fan of that without the regulations.
No, but the point is that anybody that's counting on that as a consistent permanent cash flow shouldn't.
No, they really
Because I
shouldn't.
guarantee you the state ultimately
We'll come
is,
down on that.
but the point is, and we know what the plan is, the state's going to have that wholesale, testing center
Mhm.
for these type of products at the wholesale level. They'll have to get us, this is from Holly Bell, per the conversation I had with her, they'll have a safe, fresh from Florida or safe from Florida seal.
Feel good.
And then they'll be able to go out to the retail purveyors. That'll make it easier for her investigators when they go out to the retail purveyors to see if they're legitimate products that have been tested for safety and quality, right? A product.
Because it was funny, because I remember those guys, I think they were doing, I don't remember now if it was Delta 8, Delta 9, the guys from Georgia. And when they showed, like, you assume, like, if you go into a Move or a True Leaf lab or whatever, it's a lab. There's scientists there. These guys were sitting on their sofa saying, like, well, there were 5 of us that went in, and 5 of us ate this many, and 5 of us did this, and then that was their test. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, really, wow.
So that
you're
was the
self-testing.
THCP,
Oh, that was THCP, yeah,
which
yeah.
is once again another entire
that's another
discussion. But what I find interesting is this, and good.
Be joining here in just a second.
Super.
Okay.
What I find interesting is this, and we'll have to get, and I do have some people that I do like and trust, that are in the CBD and the hemp, side, of cannabis. When you're making a Delta 9, hi Brian, how are you?
Hey, good morning.
The event in a second. And listen, what the question was is that, do we think we're going to see Delta 8, right, purveyors at the various events, be it up in Mount Dora this coming weekend, down in Port Charlotte at your event? And listen, Delta 8's interesting, and I know the controversy behind it. It's got to be appropriately sourced and tested, and appropriate claims made about it. We don't want, and I don't think you want it either, anybody hanging up a big THC sign, at your venue and not being honest with somebody that's coming up to their booth and telling them, hey, it's not Delta 9, it's Delta 8, and this is what it is, so that's, but listen, welcome. Great to have you in the green room.
We need
I will.
Introduction.
Yeah, we will.
For those watching, we have a guest today.
We do. So listen, the topic of the show today is events. And, we've been talking about all kinds of events and, the cannabis events that are going around the state. We're lucky to have one of the best going on here. Used to be in Sarasota County. I'm sure Brian will be able to explain why we're not going down to Charlotte County, which is great. But Brian Buono is a fantastic OG Canna warrior, works with all the Sarasota veterans up there with Potluck SRQ, and now has developed into a wonderful promoter of a really great event, Cannabis. And I'll cue it up for you. Just tell us what's up. And I know you had to move it from Sarasota on down to Port Charlotte. So welcome to the show, and glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So can you hear me?
Let's get our volume.
Can you hear me?
Is it us or him?
I can hear him.
Yeah, but we don't hear you
Yeah, I
on
can't
the
hear you.
screen.
I'm here.
Yep.
Why?
That's
Yeah, but for the show recording.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good on this end, but
Okay.
I can do
we're
finger
all
puppets.
we're all techie messed up today.
Yeah, something's up today. I don't know why.
That's okay.
Halloween was when we got through that.
Yeah.
Testing.
And it's also on a delayed recording. Huh?
It is.
Hmm.
You know what? Maybe we should just do we want to pull the whole thing back together, Don, and then bring Brian back in,
on,
because
like a
I
normal
really
show?
want to have a good segment
Me too.
for him.
yeah, we're gonna have to, because I'm
All
not
right.
sure why it's doing this now. Nothing's changed, and
All right.
of course. it
Brian,
changes.
we're gonna unwrangle the whole thing and get back with you in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Can
give
we
us
do that?
5. For those
Okay.
on Facebook, give us 5 minutes. We're gonna go back. We're having some technical issues today in the office, and we'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right, shut it down. We'll shut it all down and then come back.
Let's do that.